Please be seated as Victor Kazanjian, Dean of Religious and Spiritual Life, delivers the invocation.
We all flow from one fountain. The great naturalist John Muir once wrote, "We are all expressions of one love, flowing in grand undivided currents, shoreless and boundless, covering all creeds and forms and all kinds of peoples and creatures." We do indeed all flow from one fountain. We, you and I, this gathered whole, this extraordinary senior class of 2012, and all of us, and all of us surrounding you who admire and love you so. We are that which John Muir envisioned, those peoples of all creeds and forms, flowing in great undivided currents. That is us, gathered here today in this forest glen to mark the completion of another year and celebrate you, sister and sibling seniors, and your commencing forth from this place. In his wanderings through the wilderness in the United States and Canada, Muir discovered a diversity of land and life inconceivable to those whose perspective was limited by place and circumstance. As he gazed upon the world, he saw both the beauty of the particularity of things and also a wholeness connecting one thing to another. And so as we gathered here, look out at you, great undivided current of Wellesleyness, seniors shoreless and boundless, covering all creeds and forms of peoples and creatures, we too see both the unique beauty and power of your particularity, of your individual accomplishments, of each of you, and we are amazed. But also, like Muir, standing before the great mountain or rushing river, the tallest redwood or smallest flower, in you, we see also the reflection of one another, of the whole of creation, all flowing from one great fountain, all expressions of one great love, and in this too we are amazed. And so our hope, our wish, our prayer for you on this day is that you feel connected to that fountain, that water of life which feeds and sustains each of your unique spirits. And also that you feel connected to that fountain, that wellspring of love which connects us one to another in a great web of interdependence with all living things. May you know these things in your heart this day of your graduation, and for all days to come.
Thank you, Dean Kazanjian. On behalf of the trustees, the faculty, the staff, the alumni, and the Wellesley College class of 2012, it's my privilege to welcome you to the college's 134th commencement exercises. Assembled here in the academic quad are the guests of our graduates, the proud mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, and extended family members and friends. And for the 15 Davis Scholars, partners, spouses, and children. Also assembled here today are the graduates themselves, the Wellesley class of 2012. They're ready to graduate, can't you tell? They're excited and proud and probably a little bit nervous. Seniors, as you look around at your Wellesley family, remember that as we celebrated yesterday at baccalaureate, even in our digital century, there are important ways that you can maintain physical connections with each other and with Wellesley. I know you all have an appreciation for the people who have supported you during your time here at Wellesley, family and friends, faculty and staff. Seniors, I invite you to stand and express your gratitude to them. I would also like to take a moment for us collectively to acknowledge and show support for 4 of your classmates who are missing today's ceremony because they are representing Wellesley College at the NCAA National Championship in Peru. I'm pleased to invite the president of the class of 2012, Kate Leonard, to the stage to introduce our student speaker. Kate?
Thank you, President Bottomley. Wow. Would you believe this weather? Who would have guessed we'd be crossing the stage on a day like this? I certainly didn't, which is why I've left my weather-related commentary intentionally ambiguous. So why discuss the weather at all when I need to prepare my remarks well before the local meteorologists get their act together? For one thing, I love a good cliché. For another, it was all my friends could talk about. I have heard every theory about how today would look, from "this is when we're gonna get the snow, I know it," to the ever more hopeful "legend states that no single drop of rain has fallen on a Wellesley commencement ceremony since 1996. Why do we care, though? Why does it matter if we're hiding under umbrellas or baking under giant black robes of misery? We're all graduating anyway. This entire ceremony, with all of its order and tradition, is based on the idea that it matters not just that things happen, but how they do. How we celebrate our milestones and how they are fixed in our memories influences our understanding of the milestones themselves. With this in mind, I am overjoyed to present a fellow student whose unparalleled wit will shape this day in our memories as a moment of triumph and joy. I met Haley Harris through Dead Serious. For those not familiar, that is the Wellesley improv troupe. Haley was a power player, showing a fearlessness on stage rivaled only by her gumption in daily life. Off stage, Haley is a passionate individual, and one of her big passions includes a fondness for strong female leads, exhibited in her love of lady cop crime procedurals and the films of Barbra Streisand and Cher. Haley is from Chicago, where she has interned with the Art Institute of Chicago, the YMCA, and the Mayor's Press Office. And she is a French major and an actress. She honed her acting skills while studying abroad at Wellesley in X. Her keen commentary on everything from the interplay between culture and economics in France to the best of Beyoncé have delighted her friends. You know, that big group of Tower seniors who've been together since first year. They tend to put together elaborate theme parties where Haley shows off her creativity in costuming. The girl's got style. So I invite you all to welcome our own strong female lead, Haley Harris.
Oh boy. My fellow seniors, I'm scared. I've spent 4 happy years here, and now they're telling me I have to enter the real world. Of course, you don't have to worry. You are the women who have positions at Capital One and AmeriCorps waiting for you. You are the women whose contributions to your communities have led to recognition from Secretary Albright and President Clinton. You are the women who got A's in macroeconomics. Seriously, how did you do that? But my dear seniors, what about me? Sure, I am lucky enough to give this speech, but what if this is it? What if this is my moment in the sun? What if I'm a woman who won't? Of course I don't want to be, but between the impending doom of leaving this campus and becoming a real person with little sense of direction and a degree in French, there's ample reason for me and my parents to be nervous. I mean, where should I set my goals? When I was little, I wanted to be a princess, ballerina, cowgirl, house painter. Now, 15 years later, graduating from an elite women's college, it seems that only one of those dreams could become my reality. That obviously being a princess. While here at Wellesley, I discovered interests and talents I never knew I had. But all of these years of discovery and growth have just made me want to add more hyphens to the list. Honestly, I couldn't think of a lone job title I would be happy to hang my hat on. Barring, of course, playing a lady detective in a long-running television show. That is one way to go. But I am a responsible Wellesley woman and should have a backup plan. So I asked my Wellesley family what I should be. I got suggestions like life coach and Sherlock Holmes. But the most detailed life plan I received came from Professor Courtney Coyle. Yeah. She said that I should move back to Chicago and get a government job to pay the bills while taking classes at the Second City, a renowned comedy theater known for the likes of Gilda Radner and Tina Fey. Where, upon making it as an improviser, I would be selected for the writing staff of the future's version of 30 Rock. It's certainly not a bad plan. But despite its creation and approval by an incredible Wellesley professor and respected economist, I worried about following through. I mean, what about the incredible luck involved? What if I ended up in a completely different place? How would I ever make it to the Alumni Hall Wall of Fame to prove I did something worthwhile? Around the same time that I fretfully pondered this question, a friend of mine sent me the link of the video of Meryl Streep introducing Hillary Clinton at this year's Women in the World Summit. She knew I needed to see it because these two women represent just about everything I could ever want to be. After watching it, 2 things stood out to me. First, Hillary Clinton and Meryl Streep were on the same stage and the earth remained on its axis. Second, Miss Streep's speech was centered on the idea that as women, we all constantly judge each other. But It is driven by the search for inspiration, something we find readily in Secretary Clinton. As a result, we all consistently compare ourselves to her. This concept is nothing new for Wellesley women. However, it was absolutely new to me that a 3-time Oscar winner could find herself lacking. So it appears we should just give up. We can't be Hillary. And apparently, neither can Meryl Streep. Though she would be excellent in a biopic. But I realized it's not about failing to reach those heights. It's how they inspire us. I thought of the many times one of Miss Streep's performances inspired me to dedicate more thought to my own. Or of the many times that Secretary Clinton's work for women made me proud to start an argument on what it meant to be a feminist. Or how Anna Gosteyer's impersonation of her on SNL made me want to make people laugh. But these women, stars or otherwise, are the inspiration, not the endgame. We are all women who already have. You have made a difference in your short time here. As a volunteer, as a student, as a friend. That's not going to change anytime soon, and it's not about having your face on the wall. In the words of another extraordinarily accomplished woman, Helen Hayes, we relish news of our heroes, forgetting that we are extraordinary to somebody too. So, maybe you will be lucky enough to be one of the one-name divas. Cher, Beyonce, Hillary. Or maybe you'll be one of the equally important people with 2 names. A Professor Coyle, perhaps. Because no matter what a Wellesley woman chooses to be or to do, she will find her success in her own self-perception and in those closest to her. The problem facing our futures is not the achievement, it's the perception. So, go make that difference, class of 2012. You've all got a head start because you are extraordinary to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Haley. We now have the opportunity to recognize and congratulate outstanding members of the faculty, recipients of teaching prizes, named chairs, and those who are retiring. In my time here, I've observed the dedication of our faculty and the power of their teaching. In my conversations with alums around the world, they all have stories of special professors who influenced them. And I know that as the seniors reflect back on their 4 years, they can recall moments when they were challenged and inspired by members of our faculty. So from all of us assembled here today, to the Wellesley College faculty, thank you for your commitment to the education of the class of 2012. The Pinanski Prize for Excellence in Teaching is awarded each year to honor members of our faculty. members who have demonstrated excellence as teachers. According to the rules for the prize, the finalists are selected by a student-faculty committee on the basis of nominations from members of the college community, faculty, students, staff, and alumni. Today, we recognize these 3 teachers. Alexander Diesel, Math. Koichi Hagamoto, Spanish. Margaret Kane, Psychology. Before I read excerpts from the citations that they will receive today, I want to note that Koichi Hagamoto is unable to be with us today. He is at the International Congress of the Latin American Studies Association, the largest annual conference in his field, where he is moderating a panel session and presenting a paper. Those who know Professor Hagamoto know that it is unusual for him to miss a Wellesley event, especially since I know how much he wanted to wish his students well on this special day. I will now read excerpts from Professor Hagamoto's citation. Koichi Hagamoto is more than an engaging assistant professor of Spanish. He is a listener who is responsive to his students' feedback. As one student explained, he pays close attention to mid-semester evaluations in order to ensure that his students are being challenged, are interested in the material, and get feedback on ways to improve. He is approachable outside the classroom, and he is deeply invested in the academic and personal success of his students. Another student said, "Professors like Professor Hagamoto are what make the Wellesley College experience so worthwhile." A student nominator said, "Professor Hagamoto encouraged her when she needed it most." She wrote, "When I did not believe in myself, Professor Hagamoto believed in me and gave me the push I needed to follow my dreams of attending graduate school." Students also commented on the uniqueness of his area of expertise, the influence of Asia in Latin America. A student nominator said, "Wellesley should count itself lucky to have one of the few experts in this area." Wellesley is indeed fortunate to have Koichi Hagamoto in our faculty ranks and to be able to award him the Anna and Samuel Pinanski Teaching Prize. Assistant Professor of Mathematics, Alex Diesel, is the kind of professor who helps his students fall in love with math. As one student said, "I found myself looking forward to going to class and using my math homework as a study break from other classes." His enthusiasm for math is contagious. As one student wrote, "Sometimes I leave lectures wanting to hear more, as he always leaves us with a mathematical cliffhanger." He teaches concepts, not rules. He emphasizes the importance of not memorizing formulas, but of learning how to approach a problem. These are skills that will serve students long after they have graduated from Wellesley. Professor Diesel has advised and mentored countless students about their future career plans. He even organized an unofficial but highly structured GRE preparatory course for those applying to graduate school. He is genuinely invested in making math accessible to students of all levels. One student said, "I felt the world come alive in a way that I never have before, because I learned how to visualize my life in the context of elegant mathematical ideas and thoughts." For enriching the lives of his students in ways they never could have imagined, Wellesley College is proud to award Alex Diesel the Anna and Samuel Pinanski Teaching Prize. Professor of Psychology Maggie Kane has an important policy by which her students must abide. If you worry, don't worry alone. One student wrote, "A roommate, parent, friend, it didn't matter who, but if we found ourselves in the position with no one to worry to, Professor Kane stated she was more than willing to take that place." Professor Kane cares about her students, and she challenges them to think critically, often responding to their questions with probing questions of her own. As one student said, "In my conversations with Professor Kane, we have been able to bounce back and forth in this manner until that final aha moment. Let me tell you, it feels beautiful." But perhaps what best captures her spirit is the way she engages students with interactive and creative demonstrations. Student recalled a class in which they were instructed to stare at a spinning checkerboard pinwheel and then look at their professor's nose, which seemed to be growing before their very eyes. Students saw firsthand how different neurons in the brain responded. For stimulating the minds of her students in so many different ways, Wellesley College is pleased to award Maggie Kane the Anna and Samuel Pinanski Teaching Prize. Congratulations, you can be seated. Thanks. It is our tradition at commencement to announce newly endowed professorial chairs and the names of the faculty members who will hold these positions. Today, we recognize one faculty member. This year, an endowed professorship has been established in the honor of a longtime economics faculty member, Marshall Goldman, who has been an important part of the Wellesley College community since 1958. I am pleased to announce that the first holder of the Marshall Goldman Professor of Economics is Kristen Butcher. Kristen, would you stand? In the life of every institution, there's a moment when we must bid farewell to members of our community who have made the decision to retire. This year, 2 faculty members are retiring. They are Michelle Respeau, Professor of French, 35 years of service, and Ann Whitty, Professor of Economics, 28 years of service. Anne is unable to be with us today, but as I can see, Michelle is here, and please stand while we express our appreciation for all your dedication to Wellesley College. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Melissa Harris Perry. A professor of political science at Tulane University, she is the founding director of the Anna Julia Cooper Project on Gender, Race, and Politics in the South. Before joining the faculty of Tulane, she taught at the University of Chicago and Princeton University. She is the author of 2 highly acclaimed books, including Barbershops, Bibles, and BET, Everyday Talk and Black Political Thought, which won awards in 2005 from the National Conference of Black Political Scientists and the American Political Science Association. In 2011, Professor Harris Perry authored Sister Citizen, Shame, Stereotypes, and Black Women in America, which examines the impact of stereotypes on Black women's politics. A political expert and columnist for The Nation, she is also the host of her own weekend show on MSNBC, where she is redefining in the best possible way what it means to be a nerd. Behind me, we have flags representing the 53 countries where our students come from. But in preparing for Professor Harris Perry's arrival to campus today, we noticed that one flag was missing. And that is the flag of Nerdland. Professor Harris Perry, we embrace your concept of a space dedicated to the open intellectual exchange of ideas and views, and we are delighted to welcome you to Wellesley, and I have something to present to you.
Okay, that's pretty easily the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. I often say that the very best day of my life was college graduation. And I've had 2 really very nice weddings. And I have a wonderful daughter, and the day she was born was lovely, but really But all of those days were complicated with all of these other sorts of things. And so I've always said, it was really the one day that was pure joy was the day I graduated from college. You should also know I am in fact a high school dropout. I do not have a GED or a high school diploma. So it's also the day when it was clear that I was not going to have to go back to Central Virginia to high school. But I think after that moment, it is possible now that your college graduation day is my favorite day. Good morning. I do, in fact, bring greetings from apparently only the New York branch of Nerdland. My producers are incredibly excited to have you all as part of our big community. Apparently, the Nielsen ratings tell us that everyone who watches our show is over 70, and so it is really quite lovely to see that must be empirically false, because here you are. Now, that said, if you've been following me on Twitter, then you know that despite the fact that I actually make my living doing public speaking, I have been nervous about this morning. And I'm nervous because this is a commencement address. When I'm in class, my work is about leading students through complicated readings, or it's about explaining texts or working through difficult concepts. When I'm on television, I do storytelling and analysis and sometimes a little reacting. And I could do all of those things right here, but it does feel like a commencement address somehow ought to impart wisdom. It ought to give advice. And the fact is, I am very bad at giving advice. Now, I guess what I really mean is I'm bad at giving advice in mass. If we were girls, if y'all were my people, and we were just sitting together talking about something, I would probably give you way too much advice. But the fact is that I don't know what is about to happen for you. Some of you are going to become fabulously wealthy through hard work or inheritance or marriage or divorce. Some of you will be barely scraping by paycheck to paycheck through hard work or inheritance or marriage or divorce. Some of you are going to love your work, and you are going to wake up each day as though you are answering a calling. And others of you are going to beat the crap out of your alarm clock because it is telling you that there is another work day. Some of you will marry the right man the first time, and for some of you it will take until your second marriage to marry the right woman. And plenty of you will embrace the delightful pleasures of both solitude and partnership without state interference. Some of you are going to return to your 20th reunion with sour-faced teenagers in tow, and others will still be chasing toddlers. Some of you will return as men. Some of you are going to enjoy robust health into your 80s, and some of you are going to succumb to illness and tragedy long before we're ready to lose you. So I don't know how to give you advice, because I don't know which one of you will be walking on which paths. And it's such a complicated territory. So I thought, okay, I'm going to outsource the advice giving. And my first sense was that I would synthesize the advice of famous and important thinkers who have told us how to be successful. So I started, of course, being a Unitarian Universalist from the crib, with Ralph Waldo Emerson, the American Transcendentalist. And this is a pretty good definition of advice: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty and to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. That's nice. That's pretty, right? You could put that on your wall. The fact is, I am a bit partial, though, to another take on success, this one by the hard-drinking, misanthropic W.C. Fields, who says, "If at first you don't succeed, try again, then give up. No use in being a damn fool about it." There is a world full of great quotes, but no matter how much I try to create them into an outsourced advice lecture for you, none of them felt quite right. So I thought, I'll do a children's book theme. I know if you've read the Velveteen Principles, then you know that everything that you need to know about how to have an authentic, successful life is actually conveyed in the book, The Velveteen Rabbit. I thought, I'll do a little riff on Mo Williams' The Pigeon Principles. You guys know the pigeon books, right? Don't let the pigeon stay up late. Don't let the pigeon drive the bus. I'm sorry, I have a 10-year-old. This is whatever. At first glance, the pigeon is selfish and whiny, manipulative. But if we read the pigeon with love, we will see that the pigeon actually gives us clues about how to be persuasive, kind, adventurous, and assertive. It would have been a great speech. I was going to tell you how to look at your own sometimes whiny, narcissistic self with love and actually find your best selves underneath all that fragility. But it occurred to me it might annoy your parents if they discovered after 4 years of very expensive college education that everything you needed to know to succeed you'd already read in the 2nd grade. Now, I do have to say, thank God that Kate and Haley said Beyonce before I did. It is an indication that you are truly a part of Nerdland if you too love Beyonce. Beyonce. Okay, so after I'd gotten through the great men advice and the pigeon parables, I thought, how about hip hop? I mean, who better to give advice to young graduates going off into recession-era America than rappers? We've got KRS-One asking who gets weaker, the king or the teacher. It's not about salary, it's about reality. It's good, right? It's a nice message, like, you know, pick the thing you love that makes a difference, not self-importance. We've got the Roots, right? They work on, yeah, right? And in their track, Thoughts at Work, they say, F getting money for real, get freedom, right? It's a good message, right? Right? Follow your passion, don't follow the money. And then, of course, I got to the most important piece of hip-hop advice ever dispensed by that prophet, the Notorious B.I.G. Never get high on your own supply. At that point, I decided maybe the hip-hop lecture was ill-advised. So then I decided, that's right, Wellesley is a women's college, and sometimes there is advice specifically for girls, working girls entering out into the working world as working girls. So I thought I could just tell you a bit about some things I've learned as a working girl. Here's one of them. Don't nod and smile unless you are happy and agree. Don't let your voice do that high-pitched thing at the end that sounds like you're asking a question when really you're making a statement. Once you have secured your Wellesley degree, and particularly if you follow it up with an Ivy League law degree, never forsake your high-profile career path and advocacy to follow some dude to the God-forsaken region of the American South like Arkansas. Whoops. See how the girl advice doesn't always work out? Like, in fact, sometimes it can be quite powerful to nod and smile just before you punch him in the neck. And sometimes a little question at the end of your declarative statement is a worthwhile way to get some of the old guys who run all the money thing on your side. And sometimes you follow your heart and you go with the big tall guy down to Arkansas and it all works out just fine. So I decided that the girl advice was no good. And in the end, I was left with having to do what I didn't want to do, which is I've just got to give you the best advice I've got. I've got 3 things I want to ask you to be as you move forward. And I think these might be a little bit counterintuitive, particularly coming from a political progressive who is unashamedly feminist, concerned with racial and economic and environmental justice. But here are the 3 things I'm going to ask of you. Be ignorant, be silent, and be thick. Now, I could do the little, if Shanta was here, she's one of my producers, I'd do that. You didn't think I was going to say that, huh? Right, okay. Be ignorant, be silent, and be thick. Okay, in a few moments, you're going to walk across the stage, and you're going to have your accomplishments acknowledged in the acquisition of a certification that you know something. But even as you accept your hard-won degree, I encourage you to embrace the reality that you know almost nothing. I love my iPad. I'm reading my lecture right now from my iPad. I love that it streams books and knowledge and information to me Matrix-like at a moment, like whoosh, anything I need to know. But it is important for me to pretty regularly just go and stand in the library. It is an awful experience standing in a library. I think of myself as quite accomplished. I've written 2 books. But when you stand in the library and you are surrounded by those stacks of all of those thousands of volumes of texts of things that you know nothing about, written in languages that you cannot decipher, on topics that you can barely fathom, it is humbling. Standing in a library reminds us of our own limitations. It encourages us to remember that we don't know everything, can't predict every outcome, don't even know all the right questions to ask. I will never fill a cavity. It is pretty unlikely that I will ever speak Mandarin. I am certainly not going to decode anything in the DNA chain. But thankfully, graciously, the universe provides an interdependent web of other fantastic women who will. Remembering our ignorance, embracing our ignorance, allowing ourselves to accept a posture of ignorance compels us to keep learning. There's going to come a September morning very soon when you are going to miss this place. And not just the buildings and not just your friends. You are going to miss a new syllabus. You're going to miss somebody handing you a piece of paper full of things that you've not thought about yet, about challenges you didn't even know existed. The exquisite moment of utter ignorance just before the learning begins. I promise you, you will miss it. So remember, ignorance is not your enemy. Only complacency with ignorance is to be resisted. Never become so enamored of your own smarts that you stop signing up for life's hard classes. Remember to keep forming hypotheses and gathering data. Keep your conclusions light and your curiosity ferocious. Keep groping in the darkness with ravenous desire. Ignorance is not incompatible with excellence. It is not incompatible with leadership. It is not incompatible with greatness. Ignorance is a posture of humility, which brings me to another piece of non-traditional advice. Be silent. Now, if the Nerdland staff is watching right now, they probably just fell out of their chairs. Because I know that they didn't even know I could be silent as long as I just was. And in fact, not just the Nerdland staff, but we share space in 30 Rock right next to the Up staff. And the Up staff is actually quite diligent. They're very quiet. They type along. And when I come in, usually on Thursdays or Fridays, the screaming begins. I sit in my office where I don't much like to be alone, and I scream, "Oh my God, have you read the script in A4? Come in here, talk to me, come. Sometimes they just shut the door. I am, in being a feminist and having been trained as a feminist, very good at using my voice. Women's education is very much about finding your voice, about learning to speak, about speaking with confidence, about sharing your ideas freely, about battling the boys. But there is an enormous difference between being silenced and choosing to be silent. When you are silenced, you have something to say, but no one will listen. When you choose to be silent, to quiet it down, to listen, you've actually exercised the other part of voice, the part that makes your voice sound like something. It sounds like something in comparison to the silence. Silence can help to soothe one of the voices that you actually would like to be more quiet more frequently. It's what Jay Smooth would call your internal hater, your little hater. I don't know if boys have the hater, girls have the hater. The hater sits on our shoulder and tells us, "Sit up straight. Oh my God, you have a lisp. Why are you talking?" The little hater fusses at us and tells us that we are insufficient. It suggests that we can't do math because it's hard. She is actually soothed by silence. You can actually encourage that part of your meta-narrative voice to be quiet so that this part of your voice can speak. And silence allows you to do something else that you now have as Wellesley women. You have privilege. No matter what circumstances of disprivilege you came from, this degree now confers upon you privilege. And when you choose to be silent in the face of those who have less privilege, you undermine the idea that only people with certain degrees and certain certifications have a right to speak. So I'm not asking you to silence your advocacy for justice or to mute your voice as a citizen. I'm not asking you to accept the opinions of others as your own truths. I'm not asking you to sit on your ideas or fail to share your skills, I'm asking you to remember that silence is a vital precursor to voice. Gather your voice in your silence. Listen to it in your own head before you give it away. Wake up, roll over, and make love to the day wordlessly. And my final piece of advice is this: be thick. In a world that teaches women to be thin, be thick. Recall the moment in Toni Morrison's Beloved when Paul D says to Setha, "Your love is too thick, Setha." And she responds, "Love is or it isn't. Then love ain't no love at all." Thick is the only thing worth being. When you are thick, you unconditionally embrace the object of your attention. Thick women make fools of themselves all the time. Because thin women stand on the sidelines. They're critical, they're removed, they're barely committed. But thick people pitch tents in a park with the belief that social action can change an entire international, global system of economic injustice. Thin citizens vote, thick citizens run for office. Thin folks believe that every critic is a hater. Thick folks can hear critique without crumbling. Thin leaders stay the course no matter what. Thick leaders listen, learn, and correct. Thin women look great in bikinis. Thick women look terrific in history books. Cultivate a radical thickness that allows you to be vulnerable and imperfect and to cast yourself headlong into the crazy, scary, painful, grown-up world. Which brings me to the end. Be ignorant and silent and thick, but don't do it alone. You cannot be brave all by yourself. Everybody's got to have a Charlotte. You know Charlotte's Web. You're going to be Wilbur a lot. You know, the naive little pig who learns of his own impending demise, his future as bacon. And remember Charlotte, the little spider, who did more than just craft and execute a plan for Wilbur. She was his friend. You will be Wilbur over and over, and you're going to need a Charlotte. Now, when Wilbur first met Charlotte, Wilbur was not sure. Wilbur thought to himself, I've got a new friend, all right, but what a gamble friendship is. Charlotte is fierce, brutal, scheming, bloodthirsty, everything I don't like. How can I learn to like her? Even though she is pretty and, of course, clever. Your Charlotte is probably not packaged neatly. Your Charlotte is probably a little scheming and bloodthirsty. She probably never nods and smiles or says declarative statements like a question. She probably watches Nerdland. But find your Charlotte. You're going to need a soulmate. You're going to need the courage. You're going to need somebody to write in their web, no, really, you are some pig. But more than anything else, all the advice I gave you from hip hop, from children's books, from the great men, and even my notion of ignorant, silent thickness, let it all go if it's not right for you. Just throw it all away. Because this is the start of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Harris Perry. That was fabulous. Seniors, class of 2012, you did it. Congratulations. Now, after you walk across the stage in a few minutes and receive your diplomas, you will no longer be seniors. But you will always be the red, or I should say, the ruby class of 2012. Today you are students. Tomorrow you will be Wellesley College alums. This is an important day for you and for your families and loved ones. You have been waiting a long time for this day. Your parents have also been waiting a long time for this day. Those final papers have been written, the last exams are over, that thesis you spent all year researching, writing, and rewriting is done. This is a special moment. Hold on to it. You have so much to be proud of. Over the last 4 years, you have left your mark here in ways that will benefit Wellesley for years to come. When you arrived in the fall of 2008, you helped us welcome a new dean of students. You challenged us to think critically about our model of diversity and inclusion. You have also helped us begin to reimagine our residence halls for future generations of Wellesley students, and for when you come back for reunion. Earlier this month, you again left your imprint when you decorated this campus high and low with red streamers, signs, balloons. You reminded us that you were still here. You needn't have worried. We will not forget you, Ruby class of 2012, and you will not forget Wellesley. Don't think of today as the day you leave Wellesley behind. There are places you can leave, but Wellesley is not one of them. Wellesley has helped define you, has influenced how you think and feel. You will always carry a part of Wellesley with you. While your individual memories differ, your roots are here on campus, in the buildings, in the landscape. This campus has played an important role in your education and in your life. Your memories are defined by the campus and the people you have met. The novelist and poet Lawrence Durrell wrote, "We are the children of our landscape. It dictates behavior and even thought in the measure to which we are responsive to it." Just look around you. Look at these historic buildings surrounding us here in the academic quad, the ornate architecture, the Galen Stone Tower, and further out, the roundabout paths that allow you glimpses of the lake when you least expect it, the rhododendrons in the small valley by the library, the sound of the carillon, stone bridges, secret passageways, the iconic lampposts barely lighting the path, the half-timbered Shakespeare house, the spoon holders, the special nooks and crannies of the campus that generation of Wellesley alums have discovered and enjoyed. This place has shaped and guided you, just as your professors, your classes, your peers, and your experiences have influenced you. Our founder, Henry Durant, intended it that way. He believed that the natural beauty of the landscape was an essential part of a Wellesley education. He put into practice what the Romantic poets believed, that there was education to be had in natural beauty. Recall the lines of Wordsworth. "One impulse in a vernal wood may teach us more of man, of moral evil and of good, than all the sages can." In fact, our campus as we know it today was formed on the principle that the buildings would be located atop or alongside the hills rather than in the expected places such as the meadows or valleys. The effect of such deliberate planning makes you come face to face with the natural beauty of campus every day. It has enriched and complemented your academic experience. If I asked you to picture our campus in your minds, it would be a jumble of impressions. You might, recall a special bench by Lake Waban where you sat with a friend or a book. You might remember the weekly living room teas in your residence hall or the ghost stories that pervade some of the dorms. You might think of the chapel at night, the top floor of the Davis, the Pendleton atrium, the Claflin living room with its Alice in Wonderland motifs, or the stuffed animals in the Science Center. You might recall tunneling, or ice skating on Paramecium Pond. Some of you made your first ever snowball here on Severance Green and then learned how to sled down the hill. All of you have experienced the sternness of winter and the welcome renewal of the spring. Remember the difficulty of navigating the campus your first year? The winding paths that didn't ever seem to lead you where you wanted to go? Now you know. They have led you here today. Every year, I watch our alums come back to campus for reunion, and I can tell that even after 50 years, stepping onto the campus is for them returning to a cherished and important place, a place that in many ways they have never really left. Things are different, yet somehow it's all just as they remembered it. Last fall, Alice Friedman of Wellesley's art department spoke to our board of trustees and said, "Our campus buildings have a family resemblance as a group, but each are individually distinct and special." As I look out at this class of smart, fabulous students, I see a family resemblance. You are Wellesley, and no matter what you do or where you go, you will always be Wellesley. But like our campus buildings, you are also individually distinct. You are special. You have your own plans, your own goals. You were equipped by your Wellesley education, and you are ready. So my advice to you today is simple. Be what you want to be. You have the ability, the preparation, the determination to be what you want to be and not what others want you to be. You know there's not one way to be successful. You have seen and spoken to our alums who have had their successes in so many different realms. So my charge to you is have patience. The patience to figure out what you are good at. The patience to figure out what makes you happy. The patience to figure out what you don't like. And the patience to start over or alter your course after you figure out what you do like. Take a lesson from our buildings. Some of our buildings have reimagined themselves. Others have not. Over there is Shakespeare House, built in 1898. It was built to be Shakespeare House. It looks the same. It serves the same purpose. Or consider instead the Durant's old cow barn. Originally housing cows, it was turned into a recreation space for students in 1896. And then after Alumni Hall was built, it was renovated and turned into a dormitory. We know that cow barn today as Dower. A more radical change. Wellesley needed more room for students in the late 1940s, so they bought some prefabricated buildings from the Navy, put them on an empty lot, and called it the Navy House. After new residence halls were constructed, Navy was rebuilt from the ground up into the College Club. Or look to the building right behind me. Over the door it says chemistry. And at one time it was chemistry, but now it houses art studios. All of these buildings have ministered. All of these buildings have made a difference. You too have the foundation that will support many different interests. You must have the patience to discover the interest you want to focus on. Don't settle, don't compromise, hear what others say, but live your life in accord with your passion and not theirs. Make your life be what you want it to be. That is the important thing. And like some of our buildings, you don't have to do just one thing your whole life. Like our buildings, you can be free to find a new purpose later and to reimagine yourself as they did. Maybe that inspiration is partly why this campus and its buildings live so long in the minds of our alums. Wherever Wellesley graduates are in the world, whatever they are doing, they feel a strong connection to this campus. This place is the home base for our extended Wellesley family. Wellesley has created a strong sense of place, a sense of belonging for you, and that connection will stay with you long after the ceremony has concluded today. And when you do come back, I hope you will return often. You will see that Wellesley is still Wellesley. It always will be. Tomorrow, you will no longer be a Wellesley student. But I want you to take this last thought and carry it with you always. You are Wellesley. You will always be Wellesley. This will always be your campus. You will always belong here. Thank you. All right, seniors, this is the moment. Provost Shannon will now present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
In the commencement program, we have listed honors and prizes earned by many of our seniors. Although we will not read honors as we call names for diplomas, we draw the attention of families and friends to this list and invite you to share our pride in the many achievements of these students. In addition, we recognize 4 student athletes who are unable to be at today's ceremony because they're representing Wellesley College at the NCAA National Championships in crew. They are Konisha Cooper, Shanaz Dosaboy, Senta Knuth, and Susan Laves.
Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts please rise?
Madam President, it is the privilege of my office to present to you, on behalf of the faculty of Wellesley College, these candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
By the authority of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, vested in the Board of Trustees, and by them delegated to me, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts and admit you to all the rights, dignities, and responsibilities of that degree.
Kali Rose Ababanel. Ashley Nicole Abar. Bethel Adefres. Priya Samantha Agarwal Harding. Kyle Kathleen O'Brien Arles. Jayun Kabel An. Amisha Uhuja. Kavya Akash. Rania Al-Mashuk. Leila Alaawa. Roshan Alemi. Jessica Pamela Allen. Hannah Suzanne Allen. Stephanie Vanessa Anklin. Jessica Latrice Anthony. Lucy Elizabeth Archer. Hattie Arevalo. Aneta Yaba Joanna Ejoba Saba Ama. Dorlin Adriana Armijo. Nabila Khanum Ashi.